Welcome to I've Always Wanted to Watch That, a spin-off podcast from the Average Joe's Movie Club cast. I'm Justin. In this episode, I'll be chatting with Cameron, and we have been following each other on Letterboxd for a couple years now, and we are decided to talk about the British period film Atonement, which we had both always wanted to check out. Welcome, Cameron. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for this kind of came together real quick. You responded pretty fast whenever wanted to see if you wanted to be on the show. I had spotted your tweet on Gene Dealman, which you, I guess, have recently conquered. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I that was kind of like a joke, like meme tweet, and I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to watch this because I'm kind of doing a challenge where I'm watching 52 films by women this year,
Okay.
and I was like, I need to watch some very classic movies directed by famous female directors, and I'd always wanted to get to it, and just finished finals, so I said this would be a really good time to just push through this movie, and it was actually really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's very surprising how that movie kind of draws you in with the monotony of it all, and it. Yeah, I really enjoyed the experience. It took me a couple days to get through it, but by the end, yeah, I was really impressed. So, yeah, I had to
Yeah,
make
I
a little
definitely didn't
comment
watch it
there.
in one sitting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
It's like three and a
could
half
not do
hours
that.
altogether.
Yeah, basically.
I think that was directed by Chantel Akerman, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I need to watch more of her stuff because yeah, that one's
Yeah, I
pretty
haven't
impressive.
seen. Yeah, that's the only one I've seen so far.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about your love of movies. I mean, looking at your Letterboxd profile, you seem to enjoy David Lynch, Adam Sandler, and you might have been to Vegas before.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. That was like I went a few years ago, just like that picture. Yeah, I got into movies probably more so like my freshman year of college. I've really liked them a lot, but like that was when I actually like started getting into like different directors. So yeah, I would say David Lynch is probably my favorite director. I haven't finished all of his movies, but just in terms of like his personality and his like ability to make things that are so creative, like I really am drawn to him.
Okay.
And yeah, Adam Sandler, um I don't know if I would say he's my favorite actor, but growing up I like wasn't into movies at all, so like my family, we only watched like Adam Sandler movies. And
Oh.
then I when I watched Punch Drunk Love, I'm like, no, oh, he's like really talented, so now I'm his biggest defender. I think that all his funny stuff is good, and I think that all his like dramatic stuff is like really, like, he's a powerhouse.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You enjoy Uncut Gems quite a bit. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. I like recently took it out of my favorites because I thought maybe it was just like the recency thing, like that's why I liked
Mm-hmm.
it so much. But I rewatched it and I was like, no, this is one of the best movies of all time. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about like how to. I designed an Uncut Gems graduation cap, and he's like Howard Ratner. I think he's a hilarious character, one of the best characters of like the last decade. And I thought I just had the idea.
Sweet. Yeah, the Furby and all, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, any particular scene from Uncut Gems that really stood out to you?
I like rewatched it on Sunday, and
Okay.
I was so amazed. I think that everything like holds up so well, and I think the sequence that I like the most is probably just like the very last, like the, I don't know, if the hostage scene where they're like watching the game after the
Mm-hmm.
final bet. I think that the way they use the tension and like the claustrophobia, it really like everything like comes to a head at that position at that point in the movie.
That's actually the scene I was going to bring up too. Whenever he's like breaking down how he bet on the game and each little element and how it's falling into place, that just totally floored me the first time I saw it. It's probably one of my favorite sports movies now, just because of that, and it's only kind of peripheral to sports movie. I saw it on like the New Year's Eve when it came out, and I loved it. And then I immediately showed my all the guys in my family, and they're like, "Man, Justin, there's a lot of cussing in this." And I was like, "I guess there is. I didn't even notice the first time." But yeah, that's definitely the case.
Yeah, I think it's one of like the top five movies with the most F bombs. Like,
Probably that and like
and
Big
it's
Lebowski or something.
yeah. I think Wolf of Wall Street is pretty high up, but this is way shorter than that, so it's even
Ah,
more, like more of a concentration of them.
gotcha. All right, let's see some more about your movie taste in our movie blitz. So I got about 25 questions here for you. Just say the first thing that comes to mind. All right.
Okay.
All right. All-time favorite genre movie or
Um,
movie genre.
genre, okay. I feel like I really like dark comedies.
Nice.
I don't really have like a genre that I say is my favorite, but I think that
Hmm.
I really like comedy, and then I also like when things get like dramatic and dark. So when it's
Okay.
combined, I really like it.
What's the first one of those that comes to mind?
Probably like Fargo.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah. Recently saw you had rewatched it, right?
Yes, I did. I It was leaving Hulu, and I always want to rewatch it because I'm really bad about rewatching my favorites. So I'm
Sure.
trying to like catch some more again because I say this is my favorite movie of all time, but I've never seen it more than once.
Okay. Do you recall your first movie you saw in the theater?
I'm pretty sure it was the third Spy Kids movie. That's the
Okay.
one I remember the most because I think I ended up crying during like one really intense action scene and I had to leave.
Oh wow, that's cool. I haven't seen any of those. Just recently saw Shark Boy and Lava Girl or something. That's kind of in the same
Oh yeah,
ilk, right?
I
Okay.
think it's the same director.
Yeah. And his name's escaping me, but yeah,
Robert
come to me.
Rodriguez, I think.
Yep, that's correct. Yep, thank you.
It's funny because he's like really close with Tarantino,
Hmm.
so he's making all these kids movies, but he also makes some like grindhouse like
Yeah, he
really like
did
slasher movies.
like Machete. I think it's Machete and like
Yeah,
Desperado and all that stuff. So yeah, he's definitely has two sides to him. Um,
yeah.
what would you say the most attractive actors and actresses are that come to mind?
Oh gosh. Well, I recently watched the whole Godfather trilogy for the first
Hmm.
time ever, and I think that like 70s Pacino, like
Okay.
he looks like one of the best actors that I've ever seen. Um and I also like I like Steve Buscemi. I think he's cute.
Okay.
Like in Fargo. Actresses, I think that Emma Stone is probably one of the prettiest.
Okay. Have you seen
Yeah.
Ghost World yet?
So, yeah, that was like the movie I watched where I was like, I like Steve Buscemi.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think he gets
Cool.
enough love for that.
Yeah, he's definitely a great character actor. He was Have you seen any of Boardwalk Empire yet?
I have not.
Yeah, he was the lead in that, so it was kind of fun to watch him lead a show for once with kind of his unique. Because you don't really imagine him as a leading guy, but it's
Yeah.
interesting where he takes it.
I like
Do you
when
have?
those kind
Oh,
of people get to shine.
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Um, oh, wait, did you have something else?
oh no, that was it.
Okay. Any movie review cliche pet peeves? Any words that you run across in a review and it just triggers you? You're like, oh, don't like hearing that.
um, I don't really have any because I feel like I probably use them. So I don't really judge how other people like review movies because
Mm-hmm.
I take Letterbox like not that seriously. I just like to remember like my initial reactions to movies.
Okay.
I don't like when I don't like when people don't like the movies I like, but
Sure.
sometimes if they give like an unfair review that makes me mad, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't knock anyone for how they review movies.
Absolutely. Okay, that's cool. Um, the most beautiful movie you've ever seen.
Um I'm a big fan of like Wes Anderson, and I think he has like one of the best visual styles of all directors. So I think his best looking movie is probably Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh yeah. I think French Dispatch is streaming now. I need to watch that. I'm real excited about finally getting into that one. You seen that one
Oh
yet?
yeah, I got to see that one. Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Sweet.
It was it looked so good, especially like seeing him use black and white, um, like mixed with the colors. I think it was pretty, really pretty.
Right on. Okay. Do you have a guilty pleasure movie?
Um, Like any Adam Sandler, I guess. I'm not really guilty about it, but
Okay.
I do like to enjoy some Adam Sandler movies. Um, yeah.
Okay. Any silly Adam Sandler movies that stick out the most?
I really like the Grown Ups. Like I think those are probably like objectively they're not that great,
Mm-hmm.
but I watched them so many times as a kid, and I still think they're good.
I really enjoy what is it? Happy Gilmore still, but then I revisited Billy Madison, and I just can't get along with the whole like guy acting like a child humor anymore. It just like rubs me the
Oh
wrong
yeah,
way for some reason. I
yeah.
still need
I
to
could see.
see
I think Happy
his.
Gilmore.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think Happy Gilmore is like actually objectively good.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's one of his really good comedies.
I still need to see the one he did with it was like a straight to Netflix drama that he's in that was done by gosh.
With Noah Baumbach.
Yes, a Noah Baumbach movie. Hmm.
Oh yeah, I really like that one. I think it was good. I'm a big fan of Noah Baumbach.
What's the
It was
title
called
of that
like
one again? Yeah.
The Meyerowitz stories, new and selected.
Yeah, I need to still see that one. All right. What's a movie that you don't understand all the hype around?
Um, I feel like I have a lot of really bad opinions about some like classics that I'm like, okay, I need to like revisit them.
Yeah.
But ones that I don't really like John Hughes that much, like any of his movies.
Oh,
So
okay.
like Breakfast Club wasn't a fan. Uh, Ferris Bueller. I think that one was good. I just didn't enjoy it because there's no like nostalgia connected to it with me.
Okay.
But I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I think Ferris Bueller's kind of a prick.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that one growing up. I'm a big fan of Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. You saw that one recently too,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I did. I thought that one was good.
Okay. Yeah, I just recently watched a lot of those for the first time, like Pretty in Pink and Weird Science, and if I'm getting the other one, but yeah, recently saw a lot of those for the first time, just a couple years ago, and yeah, they're all right. They had their time and place for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is with nostalgia and like not growing up with it. I wasn't as connected.
Gotcha. All right. You have a favorite black and white film?
Well, just because it's like one of my favorite movies of all time, I like Francis Ha a lot, but that's like a newer black and white one. If we're talking like older, I like Persona.
Oh, nice. Good pick, Berkman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does wonders with black and white in that movie.
Yeah.
Favorite director?
I would say David Lynch.
Okay.
I really like his personality and he makes things that are so weird. And like sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't understand this weirdness, but I respect his choices. Like I like when someone makes something that bold.
What have you not seen from Lynch so far?
Um, Wild at Heart
Okay.
and Inland Empire. Oh,
Okay.
and not the Elephant Man. Yeah, those are the ones.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I
I
just
think
got
those are the
through
only
his
ones.
whole filmography a couple years ago. Yeah, I need to revisit Inland Empire. That one's a trip. And Wild at Heart ended up being my least favorite, but I need to give it another look. Got some Nick
Okay.
Cage craziness in that one. And
Yeah,
Elephant Man's
I
pretty
like Nick
solid.
Cage a lot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get to that one pretty soon.
Okay. Streaming versus the theater. Any thoughts?
Um, I like I love going to the theater. I recently started going alone for the first time ever. I think it was French Dispatch.
Okay.
Um, and I think that theaters are really important, and I love seeing movies that way, and I think it's a lot more immersive. But
Hmm.
I watch a lot of streaming. It's just convenient and easy. Um, but I think they're both good. When I did see the French Dispatch, though, it was like a mostly empty theater, and there was a man who fell asleep during the trailers, like not even the movie, and he snored so loud.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it kind of like messed up with my like viewing experience, but
Uh-huh.
I think that like nothing really beats seeing it on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying with convenience. Um, I looked at this because I'm going to go see Spider-Man with the kids on Thursday, like at like 6 or something. And I looked at the theater and it was actually almost sold out. So I was like, oh wow, I hadn't seen this in a while. So looking forward to seeing that with
Hmm.
the jam-packed theater. Do you like the Marvel stuff at all?
I've I've seen two Marvel movies.
Oh,
I do
okay.
not I do not like them. I think that I have a lot of strong opinions about them. I
Okay.
really haven't seen any new Disney things since I don't know. I just don't really engage with Disney as a company because it all seems too clean cut and cookie cutter, and
Okay.
it's dominating like the film industry, and all we're seeing is the remakes and the reboots
Hmm.
and the live action. And I don't care for superheroes in general.
Okay.
So, and you have to see like 20 movies to understand them. So,
Good point. I would recommend Encanto though. That was a pretty solid one that they recently just came out with.
oh yeah, I've heard good things about that one. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I watched that in one of my classes, and I also saw
Oh,
Spider Verse, and I watched that in the class. And Spider Verse was good, but
yeah.
I just I don't care for Marvel.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Do you own any movies and a few of your favorites in your collection? If so,
Yeah, I have I actually have them right here. I
nice.
recently got into Criterion just to
Oh yeah,
because
I
I
know
thought it
the.
was really cool.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
know
I
the
got this
addiction.
is just Rushmore. That's not. Then I
Hmm.
have Virgin Suicides, Criterion,
Yeah,
uh, Mulholland Drive.
nice.
This is Goodfellas. It's just regular. And
Yep,
then oh, okay. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then these Punch Drunk Love and Royal Tenenbaums Criterion.
nice.
But this is just things that I've bought. I have some at home that we've owned, but I'm trying to curate my collection. But my
Yeah,
favorite Punch Drunk Love favorite movie of all time,
nice,
and I like all the I watched the special features recently, and really solid.
nice. Yeah, I need to. I'd like to see some more PTA in the theater. Have you seen the is Licorice Pizza in your area yet?
No, definitely not.
Bummer.
They don't have not in North Carolina. I get
Yeah.
so mad seeing
Yep. Same
everyone
here.
watch it. I feel like everyone's seen it. But I guess Christmas or
Hmm.
after Christmas I'll catch it
Yep. Hopefully, same
because
here.
I already know. Yeah, it's gonna be my favorite of the year. I just know that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a pretty cool year for movies with a new Wes Anderson coming out, new PTA coming out. We had a new what Vanilla with Dune coming out. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool to see the top directors putting stuff out this year,
Oh yeah.
especially with the
I
weird.
think this year, yeah, we're getting a lot of what we should have gotten last year. but
Yeah, exactly. Things getting pushed back.
but
All
yeah,
right. Is there ever a movie that made you mad?
mad. Uh, Doctor Sleep is what's coming to mind. I think it's the last one I gave half star to because
Oh
I
wow.
really like The Shining. I liked it a lot. And that movie just seemed like generic CGI horror movie. I didn't think any of it was very scary or compelling or added anything to the original.
Okay.
And that made me
And
mad because I plan to watch some of the Flanagan Netflix series because I hear those are really good,
okay.
but I did not like the movie.
Okay. Yeah, I was hook, line, and sinker on that one, but I can see how. Yeah, I definitely heard a lot of
Oh yeah.
opinions going going in your direction there. So, okay. Is there a movie that defined your childhood?
um, Really any Scooby Doo. I was really into all the Scooby Doo movies as a
Okay.
kid, and also National Treasure. Those movies.
Oh, cool. All right. What aspects of a movie do you look for most? Like, is it any of the technical aspects? Is it the acting? What do you look for most, or how would you approach that question?
Um, what comes to mind is atmosphere or tone. I feel like if
Hmm.
it's a it can be the most boring movie of all time, but if it has an atmosphere that really gets me in the mood or is immersive in any way, I think I like that.
Sweet. All right. What's the movie you've seen the most?
Probably Grown Ups, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't rewatch a lot of the movie I've watched for the first time recently. So like my most logged on Letterbox, I think is Rushmore. I've watched it 3 times. But like with things that I like rewatched as a child, probably like Grown Ups.
Oh, Grown Up. So the Adam Sandler film.
Yes,
Okay, gotcha. I didn't
because
quite hear you
I
the
don't
first time.
rewatch.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
it's all good. All right. Movies that you're most look forward to seeing? Probably what, Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, definitely Licorice Pizza. Also, Red Rocket, the Sean Baker
Oh
film
yeah.
that's coming out. I want to see that one. I hear it's really good.
Okay. Have you seen his other two? What, Tangerine and Florida Project?
Yeah, Florida Project. And then I recently watched Starlet, which is before Tangerine, and that was really good too. So I think I really like him.
Okay. I recently saw Tangerine on like a Christmas movie list, and I was like, "That's a Christmas movie? Huh. To go
There's
give it a
like
shot."
some like I think the last second of it, I think they say like Merry Christmas or something, but not very Christmassy.
Yeah, a little cheater one there. Okay. Um, a movie that really clicked with you by the end. So it was like confusing, and then all of a sudden at the end, it's just like, aha, that's what he's going for.
Um, I don't know if it was like not confusing, but like I didn't love it until the very end. But Mikey and Nikki, like the whole time I'm watching it, it's just like I mean they're just fighting and having conversations, and I'm like, okay, this is really good and well made. But then like the very last scene, it
Hmm.
kind of like everything that the movie was trying to say like really stuck home with me. Like
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I
Oh,
think
I'm
it's
glad.
got one of the most powerful endings.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a fun one to think back on. Um, because what Cassavetes was actually in that with Columbo, and it was directed
Mm-hmm.
by that was a female directed film, right?
Yeah, Elaine May.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah, that was yeah, that's definitely an unconventional gangster story. That was
Yeah.
interesting to dive into. Cool. All right.
Oh yeah.
Any scary movies that you adore?
I really don't watch that much horror just because I used to get scared so bad. But the first one that comes to mind is Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh.
Um, that one, it's like I don't know if you would consider it like traditional horror, but it was really creepy and it really
Yeah.
like it hit me hard.
Yeah, I can definitely see that tying into your atmosphere requirement on that one for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Coolest movie theater experience you've had?
Um, Probably Uncut Gems, just because it like the ending it made me and it was so like tense and anxiety inducing like the whole time like I left it I felt like I was buzzing. I was like that was so amazing.
All right.
And I think it was like it's really nice to see like something with that distinct of a style like being like brand new.
Yeah. Was it the opening credits are what they're kind of taking you through the mine or whatever, and it's that really weird music and there's all these colors. It's
Oh
kind of like
yeah.
trippy, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
didn't know what to expect.
Um, Favorite movie to recommend to friends?
So a lot of my friends like aren't into movies, so I try to find something that I think is like accessible but also really good. So I always recommend like What We Do in the Shadows because I think it's hilarious, but also something that everyone would like.
Yeah.
And then like Drop Dead Gorgeous is another one that I think that everyone can enjoy.
Who's in that? I don't think I've seen that one.
It was I think it was 90s and it had like Kirsten Dunst, Amy
Okay.
Adams, I forget their names, but it was like it's about Wisconsin or like Midwestern beauty pageants, but it's a dark
Okay.
comedy, so it turns like really violent.
That sounds like fun. Um,
Yeah, it's really
any
good.
any Oscar favorites that you've seen so far this year that you like to see do good at come award season?
I don't really know what's like competitive because I see lists and I haven't seen some of them, but like
Hmm.
of like the new movies, I mean, I like The French Dispatch. I don't know how good of a chance it has of getting anything. I like Dune, um, but I really haven't seen like many of like the award favorite ones. Like hopefully Licorice Pizza gets stuff. Like I'm rooting for Alana Haim and of course like PTA.
Yeah, the last Oscar season PTA was involved in with Phantom Thread. I recall hearing one of like,
Mm-hmm.
there's like this YouTube channel called like Gold Derby where they talk about different movies' chances and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, it's just not PTA's time. I'm like, what? It was his time a decade ago with There Will Be Blood. What are you
Oh yeah.
talking about? So yes, I hopefully he gets some praise, and ever since I got into more art house new releases, like every year I'm thinking, oh, this will surely be on like the list, and then like the Golden Globes come out, and you're like, that was nominated, okay. So
Yeah.
but I've prided myself the
I
last couple of
question it.
years of yeah, a lot of questionable choices with the Golden Globes. All
Oh yeah.
right, a movie that you define that what you think of as artsy fartsy.
That I don't like that's like that or that I do.
That just comes to mind that is like that, for better or worse.
Um, well, there's a movie called Loving Vincent, which is like about Vincent Van Gogh, but it's
Okay.
all it's it's all like hand painted and it's animated. It's really I think it was really pretty and good,
Okay.
but it's definitely artsy fartsy.
Weirdest one that comes to mind.
Weirdest what?
Movie.
Um, Probably um Eraserhead. I
Oh,
don't
sure.
definitely David Lynch.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
wondering. Yeah. I was. Um, whenever you first saw how many times have you seen Mulholland Drive? Just once, or
just once. Yeah.
okay. And how was that experience?
I really loved it a lot. And I thought that I like got it. Like I thought I understood it after the first time. I was really impressed. But I mean, there's definitely stuff that like makes no sense still, like the cowboy and the
Mm-hmm.
thing behind the diner. Like it doesn't make sense. But like when they like brought everything around and you realize what's going on with the
Mm-hmm.
dream sequences and stuff, I'm like, okay, I see that. But I mean, I'm not gonna say I understood it the first try.
Um,
But
I've seen it 3 times now, and every time it's like I'm refiguring it out. It's that well, kind of cryptic in how it shows
oh
its
yeah.
cards.
I think
All
that it's
right.
like everything he was always trying to make. But also like Twin Peaks season 3 was that. But like with the dream sequence and the double timeline, like it's like the epitome of David Lynch.
Nice. Um, which so if so this brings up a good topic. So what's your course of action if you watch something and just don't understand it? I mean, do you go and talk to friends about it? Do you go up and read about it? Do you watch YouTube videos? Um, what is your routine for that kind of thing?
I normally like I read like some reviews of it and I don't want to like what like Google like ending explained because that makes me feel like a failure. But I'll watch like video essays on it to see like how other people interpret it.
Hmm.
But I don't think that those are always like the end all be all. Like there's always like your own like personal meaning of things.
Oh, absolutely. My sons are really into watching this Crazy Nate guy, and he'll pick out like Easter eggs and stuff, and some of them are just so far fetched. I'm just like, I
Hmm.
don't even care because I don't know, just a little bit too off the deep end. But cool.
Yeah. There was like I don't know if you would have heard of it, but there's this like 4 hour long YouTube video saying like Twin Peaks completely explained. And I don't know if I finished it, but I watched it and I didn't like his interpretation. Like I understood it, but I didn't want that to be like how I viewed Twin Peaks or
Okay.
how other people because I don't think no one can explain Twin Peaks like fully.
Yeah, I
Unless-
just thinking back on the
Yeah.
third season, I wouldn't even know how to start talking about it
Oh
without
yeah.
going digging back in. You had mentioned this previously a little bit, but so what's your process for Letterboxd? How long have you been on it? Um, what's the tips and tricks you would recommend to people?
I think I started in 2018 or 2019.
Okay.
Um, and I just like sometimes if a movie really hits me hard, I'll think through and try and write like something like eloquent about it or like try and like say how I'm feeling. But other times I just want to like jot down like my initial reaction because I really use it so I can remember things because I watch so many movies. I want to remember how something makes me feel. Um, so like that's really how I approach it. Like just like casual, pretty casual, but sometimes if I'm like feeling it, I'll try and give something meaningful. But I like reading other people. I would like recommend that if you want to like get more active, try and like find this like network of people in Letterbox and people
Mm-hmm.
that you like think have like compelling insights on film.
Right
Yeah.
on. It was actually, I believe, because the last guest I had on the show was Siegel. You follow him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd been following you, and then I think he started popping up in like some of your comments feeds, and then I started interacting with him, and he's gotten real popular on the platform. So
Yeah, he got
it's
big.
one.
I remember when he first like came in,
Mm-hmm.
because he would always comment on my stuff. But then he's like some of the most liked things now.
Yeah, he's a big PTA fan as well. So
Mm-hmm.
aren't we all?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then we will get into Atonement coming right up. But what sense of hope or satisfaction could a reader derive from an ending like that? So, in the book, I wanted to give Robbie and Cecilia what they lost out on in life. All right, I am joined here by Cameron, and we are talking about a movie we both had never seen before, but always have meant to get to it, Atonement from 2007. This is a romantic war drama film directed by Joe Wright, starring James McAvoy, Keira Knightley, Saoirse Ronan, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Vanessa Redgrave. It is based on the 2001 novel of the same name. The synopsis, courtesy the IMDb. 13-year-old fledgling writer Bryony Tallis irrevocably changes the course of several lives when she accuses her older sister's lover of a crime he did not commit. So, Cameron, what put Atonement on your radar? How come you put off watching it?
So I had always heard good things about it, and I've never seen a Joe Wright movie before, and I always like associate him with like those period pieces, like based on classic novels with like Keira Knightley, and I'm not really that big into period pieces, which is probably why I like never really got around to it. But Atonement was one of the ones I wanted to see most because I've seen like screen caps from it where it just looked very like beautiful, and so that's why I wanted to get to it. And I mean, it's very like critically acclaimed, so I always
Yeah.
want to check those out.
Here's a few fun facts about the movie before we dive into our thoughts. So McAvoy had said that this was one of the best scripts he had ever written or read before being in it. So kind of cool. Only 8 UK military ambulances from World War II remain, and all of them were in this movie. Director Joe Wright had wanted Keira Knightley to play the role of Bryony, but Keira Knightley was kind of tired of playing these like girl coming of age roles, so she wanted to be more of a womanly figure, so she got to be Cecilia. The Dunkirk set was the most expensive, obviously. It took 3 weeks to prepare and cost about £1 million to make. And the green dress that Keira Knightley wears is been named one of the best of all time by In Style magazine. Very high praise there. And to kind of date this movie a little bit, this was Universal Pictures' last HD DVD release. You recall HD DVD at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little when Blu-ray was coming in, HD DVD came in as well, and there was like a little competition between the two. So
Okay, yeah.
I was working at Best Buy back in the, and always arguing with what
Oh,
what
fun.
format to go with. All right. So what was your experience like watching this? Compared to, I guess, your impressions to what the actual experience was.
Yeah, so it kind of like didn't it wasn't what I expected because every time I'd heard about it, I pictured it to be like this love story and like really focus on the love story, but really it was more about like the fallout and all the impacts of like everything that happened. So like the parts that I was familiar with was like the library scene and the well scene. I was like, those are like probably gonna take a while to get to, but they were like happened immediately, and the rest of the movie like was the war and like dealing with the betrayal. So I really wasn't expecting it to end like that, especially with like the final ending where it got kind of like meta and jump time. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a while to kind of grasp the time jumping. That really caught me off
Mm-hmm.
guard. And then, like, I really didn't know how to grasp the first half of it. And then the whole conflict happens. And then you jump forward to the war, and then it just kind of zips by. So it was definitely kind of a movie of two halves for me in terms of, like, whoa, where's this going then? Oh, it's gone done already. So,
Yeah, the time jumping did like confuse me a lot. I didn't want to like admit that, but I was like, okay, so this was 5 years later, and then they jump
mhm.
forward. So I yeah, I was kind of confused a little, but I think it was well made. Yeah.
Any aspect of the movie that kind of stood out to you the most?
Um, really, just how brief the romance was. I was
Okay.
not expecting it to be so brief,
Yeah.
and also the I think that aspects of the movie, like just how visually stunning it was. Like I think it really looked beautiful, and it had some really great like visual imagery as well.
Nice. The thing that stood out most to me was the score and the sound design. That was like
Mm-hmm.
really intense, especially for like a period romance. I was like, "Whoa, the score is like." I mean, I like it, but it's very aggressive. And it actually that was the
Yeah.
one Oscar it won was for best score. All
Okay.
right. Any aspect that surprised you the most?
Um, I don't think I even knew it was about the war. So the fact that
Okay.
there was so much like it was like basically a war movie, that surprised me.
Okay. Actually,
Kind of went in blind.
the whole the I actually never say the reason I put this one off was basically because it did look kind of like a slow period romance film, and I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
those from time to time, but and definitely not the top of my list usually. But I was watching this show called Cineflix on YouTube, who was talking about like the greatest like one shot oneers of all time, and this made it. And so I was familiar with the Dunkirk oneer. I didn't know it was gonna what all it was gonna include, but yeah, I heard it that praise. So that's what put it on the list for me. In terms of surprising, yeah, definitely the time jumping, especially with like you would see something from Bryony's perspective, and then like just a second later, you would actually see what actually happened between what Cecilia and Robbie. So that definitely took some time to get used to. All right, before I get into the notes, what are your thoughts on Keira Knightley? Are you a fan or?
I really haven't seen that much with her in it. I think she's really good with the period pieces. Like she like that's just what I associate with her. And
Mhm.
I think she does well. I think I've seen some things where she's like in modern day and I'm not a fan
Okay.
just because sometimes British accents I take take some time to get used to them, and
Okay.
she has a very like severe one with her the way she acts with her voice
Hmm.
or her mouth. Uh, yeah, but I think she's good. I think she did really good in this.
Did you do subtitles or no subtitles for this one?
Oh no, no subtitles.
Okay. It was about 20 minutes in, and I was just like, "Oh, I gotta have subtitles so I can
Oh
kind of
yeah.
follow this a little closer." All right. So my confession is, I think Keira Knightley's a good actress, but her something about her mouth just bugs me. She
Yeah.
has this funny kind of shape to her mouth, and from the Pirates movies to Love Actually, it's like, oh, she's such a good actress, but oh, something about her bugs me. I don't know.
That's also I haven't seen Spencer this year, but the way Kristen Stewart does her mouth, it reminded me of Keira Knightley, and it gets on my nerves when
Oh,
they the
interesting. Yeah, I
mouth
need to see that
acting.
one. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
All right. Jump into my notes here. So, let's see. Yeah, my preconception was it was going to be a slow period piece, but it actually moves along briskly once you see where it's where it's going. Gosh, very intense opening credit scene with the typewriter style. Was not expecting that at all, but really falls in line with the theme of, like you had mentioned earlier, how this gets a little meta with this being like the story of her life and her being a writer at the same time. And
yeah.
yeah, narrating this critical blunder in her life, I guess you'd call it. Um, it's not really apparent at first, but what Keira Knightley and James McAvoy character being in love, like yeah, like you had mentioned, like the love story aspect of this is very minimal compared to everything else. Maybe since they, oh yeah, because maybe I guess it was. Did you get the sense that it was building up at all? Because they're kind of doing like this, like picking on each other flirtation game, especially in that with the water fountain scene.
Yeah. So I like was familiar with those scenes just because I've seen people like post them online.
Okay.
Um, so I knew that like a romance was going to happen, but I think it was really fast. And I did like you mentioned how they did like they kind of played the scenes twice, like once from Bryony's perspective and then once how it really happened. And I think that was really effective in like conveying how misinterpretation and
Mm-hmm.
miscommunication are like kind of the main themes that they're focusing on. And something else that I really didn't expect was how the whole thing played out with Bryony. I had always heard that she's like one of the most evil characters in like cinema history. Like I've heard people hate her so much,
Wow.
but I really didn't think I think like what she did was awful, but I also think she was a little girl and it was because she had like been exposed to all these things,
Mm-hmm.
like all these sexual encounters with the between the two and she didn't understand them or like know how to interpret it. And she made the mistake, but I don't think that it was like that vindictive or evil.
Yeah.
That like some of like if you read the top reviews,
Mm-hmm.
people hate her so much.
Jeez.
Like
Um, yeah, I think they do a really good job of obscuring like her view of it and making her sympathetic, which took me a while to come around on, in terms of like just kind of grasping what the central theme was. But yeah, I totally agree. Those are things that work into it. I mean, it's the movie's called Atonement for a reason. So
yeah.
yeah. The play reading scene where it's her and what her cousins from the north, I think. That was a great way of actually showing, that she was still kind of a kid, even though she's playing with the younger ones there. But it puts in perspective that she is a young, a little younger compared to Cecilia and Robbie.
Yeah.
All right. Flicking back through the movie, I noticed, how great it looks technically, like the lighting, the period design of it all. So, any shots throughout that really stood out for you?
The one where Saoirse Ronan is like walking through the woods and there's like it's like a circle of like just green around her.
Okay.
The war shot with like the flowers was really pretty.
Oh yeah.
And then there was one where he's like I forget where he was walking into, but it was like he was at war and there was just like
Mm-hmm.
bodies, like a bunch
Yep.
of dead bodies. I think that one was really impactful.
Yeah, that was one of mine as well. Yeah, it shows him and he's kind of crying, and it zooms back and shows all the bodies. And then there's also one where Keira Knightley is like sitting on like the seashore with like the ocean and stuff. So
Hmm.
very very pretty movie. Um, I was definitely surprised to see Benedict Cumberbatch show up in there as a
Oh yeah.
chocolatier, and he ends up be he kind of has a shady character with him and his little wispy mustache there.
Yeah, I think he's the real villain, and he doesn't get like all the hate that he deserves.
Yeah, exactly.
But him in a period piece, like just
Hmm.
like here at Knightley, like he belongs in
Hmm.
a period piece because seeing him in modern day, I'm like, no, you were from the past.
And I think what they started together was it is it Imitation Game or something.
Oh yeah,
They were in together. But looking back at that scene where he's like with the cousins and he's talking about his chocolate or whatever, and I guess he's when actually you see the back and forth between him and was it Lola, the girl in the red hair?
oh,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
they're definitely into each other, which is I'm not really sure if they ever say how old she is, but pretty young, I guess.
yeah. I think he was kind like he was really creepy, and I think she was just like he was like an old man who made chocolate, so she probably was really
Hmm.
like she thought that was really cool. But yeah, no, he's evil.
um, then we get into the whole mixed up letter fiasco where McAvoy writes kind of this raunchy letter with some um, poignant words in it. Let's see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes back and writes something more formal, but he accidentally gives the raunchy letter to Bryony, and she, of course, reads it and is just like, whoa, this guy is a little intense in that department.
Yeah. And that's like one of the things that goes back to like how I can't really blame her because she's so young
Hmm.
and she's receiving all these messages that like points to him being really gross and like creepy. So of course that's how she views it. She doesn't see it through the same eyes that Cecilia does.
Yeah, for sure. And then that leads right into the library scene that you said you were familiar with, where yeah, they're getting down and dirty, pretty hardcore, and from her eyes especially. A moment later, we see that there's a little bit more romance to it, but
Yeah.
yeah, things are kind of hitting the fan for her because we don't even find out until like an hour later that like she was crushing on Robbie, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes a lot more sense when you realize that she had that little like crush on him and it felt kind of like she was being rejected.
Hmm.
So that just like led to her disliking him even more.
And then from her perspective, she never really knew that they were into each other because I mean they were kind of kept
Mm-mm.
it in secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
When she finds out about them being in I like the foreshadowing with the little star charm in the hair that actually what clued her into that somebody was in there and she walked in. Then what the cousins go missing. So it's an all out search to find them. And when Bryony's walking around, she sees Lola apparently being assaulted by, as you said, the villain of the film, which we don't know right away yet. Yeah, and
I like knew it was
mhm.
him. I'm
Oh,
pretty
did
sure
you?
that's intentional. Yeah, because I mean, it kind of looked like him, and the way that they kind of foreshadowed like
Hmm.
their little interaction at the beginning with the chocolate, I
Yeah.
could just see it.
Okay.
And Benedict Cumberbatch just has that face, like,
There was that one kid. He kind of had like a bad complexion, but he was like all sweaty and like I guess he's like a servant or something, which I thought it might
oh
have been
yeah,
him. But yeah, I didn't really know what to think there at that point. So yeah, it's interesting to see like Bryony kind of like go through it over and over in her head, and she's just totally convinced based off of all these friction points that have happened over the evening in terms of her perception of her crush.
hmm
All right. Robbie should be the hero because he shows up and he has the kids, but yeah, immediately gets arrested and thrown in jail. Bummer.
yeah. And that whole sequence, I don't know. I think it happened very fast because
Hmm.
I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know that's where I was going.
And
And
then,
it is like, I don't really like miscommunication is really frustrating in movies, but I understand like the point. And
mhm.
I don't know, it was really frustrating.
Okay. And then we're at about the 53-minute mark, and we flash forward to the war sequence. Robbie has been released from jail and is now fighting in France. And Cecilia and Bryony are nurses. see, we finally, and at that point after that scene we had already talked about with the where him getting emotional about the people dying is when we finally see that Bryony had apparently thrown herself in like a stream or something, and to test if he would save her, and of course he does. But it was kind of awkward afterward because he kind of fusses at her about it. So I'm not really sure, what she was thinking at that point.
Yeah. And that was like a big moment in the film where I was like confused about the time jump because
Hmm.
they had already jumped forward
Yeah.
and then they like just placed that scene, and I don't know if I missed where we were supposed to like know that it was a flashback again, but
Hmm.
I was um I was a little confused after that one.
When I was putting it together in my notes, I was looking through the movie and I'm just like, I know there's this scene where she jumps in the stream, and I could not find it. And then finally, eventually, I got to it a little later on. I was like, wow, this is really far forward in things. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we get to the iconic Dunkirk. Did you realize it was a oneer when you were in the process of watching it?
Was a what?
So it's one shot where they use like a dolly to like follow him
Uh
around, and it's like 5 minutes of that. I think that's at about the hour and 4 minute mark. So
I did not realize it, but
okay, definitely
um
recommend.
if I rewatch it now, I would appreciate it a lot more. But it was a really beautiful shot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was pretty surprised that it starts out on the beach and you see all this what's going on there, but then it takes you kind of like on shore a little bit where what there's like this carnival going on and these guys singing. So yeah, it's a really cool shot that's all done in one take. So yeah, definitely
Mm-hmm.
recommend going back to visit that. All right. Ferris wheel in the background. Yeah, about 5 minutes of all that. Now, when I there's this actually part of the film's a little confusing because well, a lot of it doesn't actually happen. It's just like what's imagined by Bryony. So there's that shot in the movie theater. I had to look it up. It's called like Port of Shadows. Is this French film that like you can barely see because like it's mostly focused on Robbie, but it's like behind. So apparently, there was a little bit of an explanation of what that was all about. I think that was something about like French realism and movies that have sad endings, and I think they're trying to foreshadow that or something. Um,
Okay.
Cecilia and Robbie never actually see each other again. I didn't get this until I read back through the wiki that a lot of the stuff that happens between Robbie and actually everything that happens between Robbie and Cecilia from this point forward is just imagined.
Yeah, it took me a while to get that too after
Mm-hmm,
she explained it.
mm-hmm,
And then yeah, all their like connections after the fact, um I really did believe that they were real, and then she said, "Oh, I just gave them their happy ending."
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I didn't realize until the end. So,
Because I think I only had thought like the very very end whenever they like end up together, when their house or whatever was made up. But then I was reading back through it, and it's just like basically from the point he goes to jail, like they never see each other again, which is pretty devastating.
yeah. And even the first time watching that scene where she goes and confronts Cecilia and then Robbie shows up, I
Hmm.
thought he was imaginary. Like, I thought she really did confront her, but she was just imagining him because like she had previously imagined him like at the hospital that time. And the way he was like moving around, I was like, oh, he's not really there. But then he spoke and they like interacted. I'm like, okay, it did happen. But then she said, no, I didn't have like the courage to confront her or the
I like
opportunity.
I liked so at this point Bryony, I mean she's from like a from wealth, so she really doesn't have to do anything. I mean, just maybe like go to Cambridge or whatever, but she does want to commit to like a life of hard work. So she becomes this nurse, and is we see this whole montage of her working really hard around the hospital and then experiencing like the hardships of war where she has to comfort all these soldiers. I was very taken aback whenever she's like helping that one guy in French, and then she removes his bandage and sees that he has a hole in his head. Wow.
Yeah, I knew something bad was gonna happen, but I didn't know like what it would look like. Was that who? Do you know who that was? Like, was it someone that she knew?
I think it was. I mean, since she knew French, she was able to comfort him a little better than one of the nurses that might not have known French. So that was the only thing I got out of it. But it's a
Okay.
good question.
Yeah. He mentioned something. I forget. He mentioned someone was like playing the piano, and was playing like Debussy, and then when
Oh,
she
that's right.
left, they played Claire de Lune, and that was like one of my favorite sequences, like the way the piano came in.
I do remember that now, and I made that connection. It's funny when I'm making my notes. A lot of times, I'll just flick forward and I'll see like you know the visuals and stuff, and I'm totally jipping myself out of the audio there. So if I don't make a note beforehand about the audio, sometimes I'll miss it. So I'm glad you put that in. All right. So we have the stock propaganda footage. Propaganda is a strong word, but basically the victory in Dunkirk or whatever, they would make a film reel of that, and they would probably show that to all the Allied nations to encourage people to want to join the war. Just wanted to note that was put in there. She randomly wanders into Lola's wedding and figures out that what
Yeah,
Cumberbatch was the guy. Was that real or imagined? Do you have any idea?
I feel like I'm pretty sure it was real
Okay.
because they made the eye contact. Like she made eye contact with Lola.
And then she
Um,
immediately looks down.
yeah, I think, and then that's how she made the connection. And I
Hmm.
don't. What I was trying to figure out is if she knew that it was him the whole time, or if like just going to the wedding like triggered the memory of like
Hmm.
seeing him, because it does like change things.
Yeah, because based on what she recalls in the wedding, yeah, she actually saw his face, but apparently blocked that out. Right.
Hmm.
Then she gets like to give her ideal apology in that scene we had just mentioned, where Robbie's saying how mad he is, obviously because got thrown in jail, got put out to the war, and then how to make it right, but they figure out that they can't make it right because the Lola would never go another way since she's now married to that gentleman. Gosh.
Yeah,
I thought the red X. Did you notice the red X on her kind of her nursing uniform throughout the last part of it?
yeah, yeah. I thought that was interesting. I didn't really. I did notice it, but I didn't think of it to be anything. But when you mentioned that,
I googled if it represented anything, and it was kind of saying something to the extent of like the her innocence versus like the guilt of what she did. So I guess that makes sense. It
yeah,
kind of reminded me of
I
Scarlet
definitely see
Letter a little
it.
bit.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Definitely.
Nice. All right. So we flash forward. Yeah, this is definitely a part I did not expect, to her being this like dying author and to telling the truth of this book. And yeah, and then we're showing Cecilia and Robbie that they got together and were off by the ocean there at the end, but that hadn't actually happened because they both got what Cecilia died in some kind of subway flooding, and then I think Robbie died of just infection from his wounds.
Yeah. I think the Sicily was also it was like a bomb that
Oh
made the
right,
flood happen.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I did know when she was giving her interview and she said she was suffering from like vascular dementia, I
Hmm.
thought it was very ironic that she was suffering from something that was stealing her memory when everything that happened in the movie was caused by like her misremembering like how these events happened or
Oh, that's a cool point.
misinterpreting them.
Interesting, I like that. All right. So, all in all, I would say this movie is all about like coming to terms with telling the truth and the twists that your perception of things can distort your understanding. I really wanted to give it a 3.5 because it kind of like misdirects you, and I'm not. I think if a movie's going to misdirect you, I don't want it to feel like I'm being misdirected. I want to still kind of understand, but then maybe it twists back and like show me that I missed something without making it real obvious. If that makes any sense. But I do applaud the effort, and I think it is a really technically made film. And the very end, whenever you see it in with the little bow on top, I appreciate what it's going for as being this whole atonement message. How about you?
Yeah, I think I would give it a 4. I think because it is like I think it's technically made like beautifully. Like it's looks amazing, like all the acting's good. And I think that the story is really nice how everything like kind of like comes back and it's very smart like how it does that. But I was expecting it to hit me more. I didn't feel that much sadness because I don't think there was enough time with any of the characters before he was sent to jail. Like I wasn't like it was so short
Hmm.
that I never like developed a connection. Like I didn't feel that much sympathy for. Like I felt bad for him, but I didn't feel it. And then when they died, I kind of saw it coming. So
Okay, yeah,
um,
that's a great point. That it never, by misdirecting you, you never really get as connected with the characters as you would have, and by the end, you're kind of like just like what happened instead of actually feeling any kind of remorse.
yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Cameron. How do folks get in touch with you and check out your thoughts on movies?
They can look. My letterbox is Cam Motts, so CAMMOTS, and that's my best place. I love talking about movies with people, so feel free to hit me up in the comments. I'll be glad to have a discussion.
Awesome. All right, please follow the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast on YouTube, and you can look for my reviews on Letterboxd as well. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Cameron, and keep watching great movies.
Thanks for having me.